What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bosley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only. It is Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, what's going on today, buddy?
Oh, I've been kind of just swinging back around to games that I'm familiar with. Played a
Ooh,
lot of Halo yesterday.
nice.
A
How'd
little bit
that
of
go?
Fall Guys.
Ooh, oh man, yo. So my one of my boys has been playing Fall Guys. 2 wins under his belt already. Dude's on a
Yeah.
roll.
Oh man, he's got better stats than I do already.
Dude, hey, people can be joining us live over on twitch.tv/ the official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show. Sucker Punch lays down the hammer with any hopes of a new Sly Cooper or Infamous game coming our way. Rockstar had plans for 2 remasters, and the first NFT gaming console has been announced. And it has not gone over very well, Scott. I cannot wait to talk about that disaster.
Yeah, no, that's a very interesting topic developing
Dude.
currently. We'll
Yes.
have to see how that's going.
It's not going well so far, which is not the way you want to launch a console announcement. let's
No.
get into today's show as Sucker Punch shuts down Sly Cooper and Infamous rumors. Oh, dude, that's a heartbreak already, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been talking about Sly Cooper actually a lot on this show.
Hey, we have. It's been a while. He's well overdue for a remake or a new edition. I think it would be the nice one to see. But this comes from David over at PSU. Sucker Punch Productions are responsible for some of the most popular PlayStation franchises like Sly Cooper, Infamous, and of course, lately, Ghost of Tsushima. Recent rumors pointed out to a potential comeback for Sly Cooper, though Sucker Punch has shut down that rumor and any like it. Oh, man. Quote, with our focus on our current project, should we stop right there, Scott? Current project is Ghost of Tsushima 2. We all know that. Come on. Like, how can they not be talking about working on that game next? It did so well. We already heard rumors that that's what they're working on. But let's continue on with the quote. We have no plans to revisit Infamous or Sly Cooper right now, and no other studio is currently working on projects related to those franchises either. End quote. Man, I thought maybe, Scott, if Sucker Punch wasn't working on Sly Cooper or even Infamous, maybe another studio would be.
Yeah, there's always that possibility, but I guess they had to respond in some capacity in this way because otherwise it doesn't do any good for everybody to get spun up with hype about something that's not real.
No,
Although
that's
it's
a
a
good
good
call.
sign, isn't it? Hey, but looks like we could make another Sly game after this.
Yeah,
The people
well,
want it.
that's just it. What's up there, your Doom guide? Nate joins us over on Twitch. Hey, got a quote here. It says, these characters are very special and near and dear to our hearts. So while we never say never to reopening those doors down the road, for now, there are no Infamous or Sly Cooper games in development. Scott, but that's like, well, that's what I said though, right? It's because they're working on Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Yeah.
The sequel is on the way, right? It was well developed, well produced, and well beloved by fans. But we also have a long history of Sucker Punch and where they started from. But I think Ghost kind of really set them on that next generation of where they're heading with their studio and the production of the overall appreciation of the fans and where we can see them growing and going from here. It's kind of, here's the thing. It kind of makes me think now Sucker Punch is kind of the up and coming Naughty Dog studio that they'll never go back to like Sly Cooper, because Naughty Dog's not going to go back to a Jack game. As much as I want Jack and Daxter, the next one, a new one, it's something fresh. Yo, they're just heavily invested in a new IP, from what the rumors have us telling us, or The Last of Us multiplayer factions development,
Yeah,
right?
they've been elevated to something much more mature, but also
Yes.
technically pushing.
Exactly, and I think that's where Sucker Punch is now as well, right? With Ghost of Tsushima doing so well. Dude, it was such a great story. It was so well done. So many options within that game. Dude, you could play that entire game black and white from the very beginning in the original voiceover characters, or like the Japanese voice. Yeah, it's stunning to think of. I wouldn't do that because I'm too lazy to read. Yo, what's up, Northern Nerdcast? But yeah, I prefer to hear all the dialogue because I appreciate the dialogue and the voice actors. So I'd like to be able to use that and not have to worry about reading everything like a game we're currently working on. We'll talk about that another time.
Oh, they're going to be locked into this Ghost IP. How many titles do you think they're going to make out of that? Do you think it's going to be a rounded trilogy? Do they push for a games of service?
No.
Ghosts of Infinity.
No.
I'm afraid of everything that has an Infinity title after it now.
Exactly, right? There are options though, right? Because we did see Legends come out for Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, Legends is an incredible multiplayer edition, co-op with this, also a bit of a horde mode kind of experience where you team up with four people or a team of 3 friends kind of thing and yourself, and you fight off waves and waves of enemies. And dude, it was a blast. We played for hours. I think I almost reached level 100. So it is a lot to that game. There's a lot to unpack, and I think the multiplayer was a pleasant surprise that nobody anticipated coming to Ghost of Tsushima. So they have so much to build off of this now. And the other side of it too, Scott, is they're getting into the movies too with Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, though that's really cool to me because not having a PlayStation, I still want to get into that universe, and it seems like it would be a great topic for a movie.
No, absolutely. I think I'm trying to think of one that we've seen, like the last samurai movie kind of experience, or in that game.
Yeah,
A lot of us been looking for Tenchu, and I think this is our opportunity here with Ghost of Tsushima to see how much further they can carry this. And this is our Tenchu next gen experience, because there really isn't anything else out there that's like this. And when you talk about how long will they push this franchise, I think with the success of the first one, they build off of that. They definitely are now going to work on the second one. We'll see that sequel, but will we see a third? Will they have enough content to pull it into a trilogy that doesn't feel forced? We just saw, we know God of War is only doing 2, right? They're in Norse mythology moving forward. They don't want to stretch that over 3 games. Cory Barlog came out and said, we'd rather give you 2 longer experiences, but wrap it up in 2 games, keep it short and sweet sort of thing, versus stretching it out, because every time you stretch out for the next game, you're in for another 5-6 years of development cycle. So if they can already just maybe use the 5, 6, or even 7 years, whatever's necessary, then to take care of the next God of War game, maybe they'll do that here with Ghost of Tsushima, move into just 2 games, and then move to a new IP. There's that opportunity as well, because we're starting to see that change.
Without letting the hype and the popularity fizzle out.
Well, that's just it. We look at Halo, right? The popularity, and that game's been around for decades now, that franchise. How do you keep your community invested? Well, it's kind of fizzled out. That's the biggest thing. You're in it right now, but a lot of people who jumped on the hype train when it first announced and released were there, but then it just died off. Now there's obviously a couple of different things we can talk about as to why that is. However,
their great idea is challenges. Those challenges glitch out and don't work very well. I discovered that last night, and that was very frustrating. A lot of my progress just didn't go over, and I thought, why am I playing this until 4 a.m.?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But how do you
I don't know either.
How do you build the hype and keep that hype over a trilogy, right? But I don't know. Maybe they'll stretch it just to 2 games, or maybe they will. I honestly could see them moving into a trilogy for Ghost. And as much as I'll be there for day 1, I'm all over it. I can't wait to see anything on Ghost of Tsushima 2. I kind of want to go back to get the platinum, but dude, there's 24 hours in a day and there's not 30. So I wouldn't last for 30 anyways. I'd be sleeping on the couch.
Yeah, there's only so much coffee you can ingest.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, let's get into topic number 2, because it's a big one. Rumors. Dude, the rumors are always so juicy sometimes to talk about, because Rockstar had plans for GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption remasters, but chose not to proceed with the projects. It comes from David over at PSU once again. According to Rockstar Insider, Tez Funds 2, the studio had plans to develop remasters for both Grand Theft Auto 4 and Red Dead Redemption, though ultimately decided against moving forward with either of them. Tez goes even further to say that the negative reception towards Grand Theft Auto Trilogy, the definitive edition, could have been part of that decision, which suggests that this is a call Rockstar recently made, though the plans for the remasters were reportedly on the table for years. GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption titles are both popular games within the Rockstar's portfolio, and for a generation of players, both titles serve to define Rockstar leading in a new generation of consoles with PS4 and GTA 5, and later Red Dead Redemption 2. Scott, dude, I really want the GTA 4 remaster. I really want it.
That's the one I want to see. Yeah, Vice City was high up on the list, but we saw how that turned out. San Andreas I've played a dozen times in the last dozen years. I can't do it anymore. But
dude, Brad puts over on Twitch. He says it means we're getting another version of GTA 5 for PSVR 2 now with enhanced modes. Well, man, anything's possible. We did see GTA 5 go into first person, so there is the opportunity to probably bring it over. But at the end of the day, just give me.
Now it's
I'd love these
126 frames a second. Wow.
Right? Yeah. Together, they're easily Rockstar's most popular IPs. So to hear that the studio has potentially decided against revisiting two titles that are both beloved by fans and were very influential on Rockstar's meteoric rise in the last decade is disappointing for fans. Absolutely. I wanted to see GTA 4 remastered. However, Scott, it sounds like maybe they're just going to transition into GTA 6 and we'll get it sooner than later.
Yeah, no, that's a better alternative, I suppose. As much as I do like being fed the same Grand Theft Auto over and over, I'll do it again. I'll do it every time.
Bought it again, man. Like, it's just, they get me, right? They get us both. They're like, oh, yeah, you're going to bring it over to next gen consoles? Okay. And then they take our money, and we played it for a while, and I haven't been back in a while. It's something we do need to get back to, Scott. We keep saying this.
Yeah. Oh, man. I think I still have it on my Xbox.
I do too. Do I? I'm thinking. I think I do. It's still there because I'm afraid to delete it because it takes forever to download because it's so big.
We've gone through so many of those games, though.
Oh man, we just keep pumping out game after game after game, which is a ton of fun. But sometimes you lose out on some of the things you want to get back to. Like you just talked about your catalog of games, and yet you're heading back to some of the ones you haven't played in a long time. It's nice to kind of get back into some of these things, but it's also, dude, it's been so long. I'd like to see them move forward into GTA 6, but at the same time, I would really love to play GTA 4 again in a much more modern console versus going back to my PS3.
That'd be an instant buy. There'd be no thought.
No, absolutely. But doesn't it make you worried or concerned though after the fact that the trilogy tanked so bad? That would we get the experience we would really want? So maybe they said, forget it. We won't even want to tamper with that. Now that we tampered a lot of our fan base, because dude, it was toxic for a long time after that release, and warranted so by the fans because there's so many glaring issues and just skipped opportunities or just shortcomings of that trilogy that fans were not pleased at all. Well, that's just it. Like, how do you, man, I didn't expect. It's funny how we hold some of these studios to such a high standard that you only expect the best of the best, right? You saw it's funny because we brought it up, I think, on yesterday's show. Cyberpunk 2077 just have so many glaring issues. Now they fixed that. Warranted, they come around and completely fixed it 2 years after the game was released. But at the same time, they were held up so high because of The Witcher 3. Rockstar, same degree, right? Rockstar with all their recent games and GTA 5 doing so successfully well that you think, okay, cool, we're getting back into some of our beloved, what started us down this path of GTA, and all of a sudden now it comes out in a trilogy pack that's been remastered and doesn't work.
It's just a win and lose some kind of a scenario we're in now, because even Battlefield is not exempt from this issue, and they've been making Battlefield games for 20 years over there, and somehow that's just a whole subject of study.
Yeah, no, definitely been on the losing side for some of these games as of recently. And what else is losing, Scott, is the first NFT game console has been announced.
I've got a lot of wonder as to what this
This comes through Chris over at VGC. This is an absolute garbage truck situation on fire, man. Like the internet exploded. Okay, let's get into it. Web3 company.
It's to the point where I'm not sure if we're gonna see Blue Box mentioned.
Polium claims its Polium 1 system will be, quote, the world's first multi-chain gaming console, end quote, that will be capable of running games built on different blockchains. Quote, the console will be powerful enough to run high performance games and will be easy to use for a traditional gamer who doesn't understand Web3. End quote, Polium claims. The console, which Polium says will be released in Q3 2024, will only be able to be pre-ordered by players who buy a Polium Pass, an NFT on the Ethereum network, of which 10,000 will be minted. Dude, I'm stopping right there. First of all,
Yeah.
we're all gamers here. This is why we talk about this show. This is why we do this show. It's because we love video games. Here's the biggest thing right now. Web3 doesn't mix with video games. Nobody's done it correctly. And then when they announced this console, which if you take a look at their logo, hang on. I gotta put this up. I gotta put it up. Looks just like the GameCube logo. So they completely copied a logo and flipped it upside down. It's been an absolute joke since it was announced. And this is not how you get gamers' attention by any means. And then you're trying to build a console for traditional gamers who don't understand the Web3 model, and then you bring it out like this and you tell them that they're going to have to be minted 10,000 of these consoles in order to get one. So you can't even buy a console with actual cash.
Yeah, you have to pre-order. You have to get your foot in the door early, and there's only 10,000 of them. That's quite a low number for any sort of console to release.
Dude, there's been backlash the minute this thing came out. Now Polium has actually gone on Twitter to say that they are redesigning the logo and that they didn't copy GameCube's logo at all. Yes, they did copy the Nintendo GameCube, because you can't tell us no. It's blatantly right there in front of us. So they copied it, and then from there, like, Twitter exploded with, "Here, I can help you with a new logo." And they put, like, I saw one person put a PlayStation logo, then put Polium underneath it. I was just like, ouch. But according to Polium, the console's controller will include a fingerprint scanner security and a wallet button to give players quick access to the console's multi-chain wallet designed for, quote, trading, swapping, staking, and receiving cryptocurrency, end quote.
Well, that makes me wonder, is this a video game thing at all, or is this just a terminal through which to make deals?
There is that. Now, it's funny because you have to have that integrated in some way if you're thinking NFTs, right? Like, if you're thinking about the blockchain, you have to be able to tie in some way. Understand how they're doing it, but it just comes off. The problem is, it comes off like they want your money and not building a console. They're not building a console for gamers. They're building a console for NFT sales. That's the problem, right?
It seems as legitimate to me as the KFC console.
Oh, dude, whatever happened to that thing? I forgot all about it. That's funny.
And it did have a slot in it for warming up pizza. There was something there, So these great ideas just held back by video games, really. But I wonder, what does being on blockchain do? What does Web3 do for video games? I don't understand it, and I can admit that. But I just don't. Is it reduce video games down to a message board? I don't understand.
Here's the problem, is that we haven't seen a game actually implement it well or even do it right. That's like, Ubisoft came to the table and that tanked. You put it on a broken game called Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which is unfortunate because the game should have been so much better than what it was. And then they put on NFTs as the program they called Quartz, and then that got backlash, and then nobody understood how to do that. Whoever launched that didn't quite understand, I don't think, how to implement it properly so that gamers would understand the whole purpose behind it. The ability, dude, I think is cool, but it's just not well received or perceived to announce this. Here's the biggest thing, Scott. If you go to the Polium website, right, there's nothing on the site about the team. There's nothing there. We have no idea who the team is. We have no idea what their pedigree of gaming is at all. It sounds like it's just a bunch of people who thought they could make a console and generate some money. Like,
there's they do go on to mention that there's 4 of them working on this console. 4 individuals. Not 4 companies, not 4 teams, 4 studios. No.
Dude, okay, let's read a little bit more, because despite Polium's admission that only 4 people are working on the hardware, it also claims that the console will be capable of 8K HDR at 120 frames in ray tracing. So it's going to be better than the current consoles right now by the time it launches in 2024. The thing is, there's no console. Dude, you're competing with Nintendo, you're competing with Xbox, and you're competing with PlayStation. You can't compete in this market. You're not going to make it.
No. I would sooner expect Apple to come out with a console before something like this takes on.
Oh, absolutely.
Or Sega. When we ever get a rebirth of Sega, that would be something I could be excited about, but not in terms of just selling NFTs. Anything to do with NFTs and Web3, it just makes me feel like I'm speaking to a snake oil salesman.
Well, so some have pointed out that the console's logo appears to be upside down, take on the GameCube logo. Quote, It looks familiar, but GameCube has a G and the cube represents their name. The company replied on Twitter, quote, our cube represents blockchain and the P stands for Polium, end quote. Yeah, and then they quickly went back to Twitter to say they're redesigning their logo. So there's that too. Quote, we have been receiving FUD and criticism regarding the ability to execute. Quote, the statement reads, to clarify, it's 4 of us that are building a functional prototype of the console and controller. Dude, they have nothing to show. Why would you announce this? You're not, here's the problem. They pitched it to the gaming community without pitching it to investors to build something, to have something to showcase, right? You can't showcase a console you don't even have in development yet and expect people to appreciate what you're building.
Yeah, no, especially when it's out on this kind of new burgeoning kind of industry. It feels like it's the definition of a pump and dump. They get everybody excited about it. You buy in. They sell so many of these NFTs, and then somebody goes on vacation and never comes back.
No, they want you to buy into something that's not ready to go or not ready. This shouldn't have been announced. Clearly should not have been announced. And you need to have a proof of concept for the gamers to understand why this is adding value to a gamer. And dude, it's just not.
I'd be curious to see what those who are more into NFTs can speak to. Is there some sort of thing that they can bring to NFTs that makes that elevated? I'm just wondering, who is this being sold to? Who's it for?
It's not being sold to the regular gamer. It's being sold to NFT people who've been playing Axie Infinity and things along that line. But dude, it's not going over well. Like it's not being well received because they don't have anything to show. You're just showing us a proof of concept, and then we can already pre-order. Like, I'm not gonna buy something you don't even have built yet. This doesn't make any sense at all. So just be a little mindful of what's going on here.
Yeah, I can't get into NFTs, and this is not going to be what begins my journey.
No, it's a bad way to get started, right? Like, this doesn't make any sense at all. If this is how you're looking to launch your console, and the feedback that everybody's giving over to them on Twitter, dude, not one positive response at all that I've seen while I was checking it out. And it's just unfortunate because I think eventually down the line, NFTs will be incorporated into video games in some form, some manner, some way, somehow. But it's not tomorrow, and it's not next year, and it sure ain't going to be 2024. I'll tell you that.
You know, I like the idea of the pre-order being marked by an NFT. That's okay with me, but don't pretend that it has resale value. That's not what interests me. Yeah. But, you know, might as well just be a confirmation number. So if you want to throw a little Master Chief smile on that, sure.
No, for sure. Scott, let's jump into one more topic before we got to run. Nope, you know what? We're not going to do it. We're not, Scott. We do have a couple games out today, so why don't we get to those instead?
We have Cursed Island on the Xbox One and Rush Rally Origins on the Xbox One as well. And we also have Arcadegeddon, but what was that released on? I'm not actually familiar.
Hang on, I will check.
It's two of the other guys that got
this is the last minute. Oh yeah, right. It's on PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S, and joins the PlayStation 5 and Epic Games Store as well. $29.99, Scott, if you want in.
Okay.
Are you gonna check it out?
I have way too much of a backlog now, and I play too much 20-year-old games. Command and Conquer keeps bringing me back.
Well, that's just it, man. Like, yeah, the things you're playing right now aren't even new.
No, Command and Conquer Red Alert 4 would be very welcome, though.
Oh man, yeah, nostalgia.
Westwood is underground now, though.
So right now we have Steve and Corey reviewing this for us. So just make sure you stay tuned. They'll tell you all about the game. It looks cool. I'm a little shocked it's not coming out to like PlayStation Plus or Game Pass though.
Yeah, it does kind of look like it has that look to it.
It does, doesn't it? It's from Ilphonic, the team that brought us like Predator and things like that. So there's definitely some promise behind the game. And I'm going to leave it at that because I definitely want to hear Corey and Steve's opinions because I got a little insight on their thoughts. So it should be a heated and nice little review. But Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for joining us. It's been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over on twitch.tv/the-official ITG, as well as YouTube at ITG Reviews. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later inside the game.ca podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until next time, I'm Drew, that's Scott, and we'll see you inside the game.